back to my channel. My name is Soumya. In today's video, I'll be posting set of another 20 questions. So this is module 5 and it contains 20 questions. In my previous video, I have already posted 4 modules, each containing 20 questions. If you go through this practice test, it will be helpful for you when you take up your exam. So please stay tuned until the end of this video. There are multiple apps running in your Google Cloud platform, organization level in separate projects. You want to monitor the health of all these apps under the same Stackdriver monitoring dashboard. How can you do it? These are the options available. Let's take a look at each of these options. Option A, you will need to use shared VPC to connect all projects and link Stackdriver to the shared VPC. Since shared VPC does not provide monitoring capability on multiple projects, this option is not suitable. So this is not correct. Option B, create separate Stackdriver accounts in each project. In each project, create a service account for that project and grant it the role of Stackdriver account editor in all other projects. This option suggests to create different Stackdriver accounts for different projects, but doing so it will not allow you to monitor all projects from a single place. But since we need to monitor health of all these apps under the same monitoring dashboard, this option is not feasible. Option C, create a single Stackdriver account and link all projects to the same account. This option is correct because by doing so, we can monitor multiple GCP projects from a single Stackdriver account. Option D, create a single Stackdriver account in one of the projects, then create a group and add the other project names as criteria for that group. This option is not correct because Stackdriver group can group resources but not the projects. Now let's proceed with next question. Your apparel selling app is just launched. Your app uses a managed instance group. Since very little traffic is expected for a while, only a single instance of the VM should be active in every GCP project. How should you configure the instance group? Option A, set auto scaling to on, set the minimum number of instances to 1, set the maximum number of instances to 1. This option is correct because setting the minimum and maximum instance config to 1 will ensure that it will always keep only one VM active in the managed instance group. And since we want the application running at all times, so setting this config will help us achieve that. And if the VM crashes due to any underlying hardware failure and we want another instance to be added, so in that case we have to set the auto scaling to on. Option A is correct for this scenario. Option B, set auto scaling to off, set the minimum number of instances to 1, set the maximum number of instances to 1. This is not correct because even though it will keep one instance running, and if that instance crashes for some reason, since the auto scaling is set to off, a new instance will not be created if something goes wrong with the instance. So this option is not correct. Option C, set auto scaling to on, set the minimum number of instances to 1, set the maximum number of instances to 2. If we set the maximum number of instances to 2, it will create 2 instances. In the question, the need is to maintain only single instance of the VM in every GCP project, but if we set the maximum number of instances to 2, it will create 2 instances. So this option is not correct. Option D, set auto scaling to off, set the minimum number of instances to 1, set the maximum number of instances to 2. Even in this option, since we are setting the maximum number of instances to 2, it will create 2 instances, which is not required in this scenario. So option D is not correct. So for this question, option A is the correct answer. Let's proceed with next question. You are facilitating a security audit and the auditors have asked for a list of all IAM users and roles assigned within a GCP project named My Project. What should you do? These are the options available. Option A, navigate to the project and view the data access logs. Data access logs does not provide the IAM users and the roles assigned. So this option is not correct. Option B, run gcloud IAM service accounts list, review the output section. So when we execute this command, it will list only the service accounts and not user role bindings. So this option is not correct. Option C, navigate to the project and then to the IAM section in the GCP console, review the members and roles. In the IAM section, we can see all the list of users and the roles in the project. It's kind of a dashboard where we can see all the users and the roles which are assigned to each of these users. So this option is correct for this question. Option D, navigate to the project and view the activity logs. In activity logs, it will not list the users and the roles assigned to them. It will just show what all activities were taken place in the project. So this option is not correct. Let's proceed with next question. You work at large search engine company. Your finance team has asked you to create a new billing account specifically for your project to track expenses. You need to link it with your GCP project. What steps should you take? These are the options available. Option A, make sure you have the project billing manager IAM role in the GCP project. Link the existing billing account to the existing project. In the question, we have to create a new billing account. But in option A, it suggests to use the existing billing account, which contradicts with the question. So this option is not correct. Option B, make sure you have the project billing manager IAM role in the GCP project. Create a new billing account and link it to the existing project. This option is correct because here project billing administrator role is required to attach the billing account to the project. So you have to ensure you have the project billing manager role in the GCP project where you will be creating a new billing account. So once that is done, you need to create a new billing account and link it to the project. So this is the correct way which you have to follow to set up a new billing account. So option B is correct. Option C, make sure you have the billing administrator IAM role for the billing account. Create a new project and link the new project to the existing billing account. In this option, it states that you have to create a new project. So this is not required because we already have a project. For that project, we have to create a new billing account. So this option is not correct. Option D, make sure you have the billing administrator IAM role for the billing account. Link the existing billing account to a new project. Even billing administrator of a billing account also needs to be the project billing administrator in order to link it to the project. So this option is not correct. So for this question, option B is the correct answer. Next question. You work in a large airline company as a cloud engineer. Your company's operational and flight schedule data is hosted on GCP. There are a large number of instances deployed on compute engine which are managed by an operations team. The operations team does maintenance work on flight schedule, data, and they require administrative access to these servers. Your security team needs to ensure credentials are optimally distributed to the operations team and they must be able to audit who accessed a given instance. What approach should you take? These are the options available. Option A, generate a new SSH key pair. Provide each member of your team with a private key. Configure the public key in the metadata of each instance. Here, configuring SSH public keys on every instance is difficult to manage and compromising the private key will compromise all the virtual machines. So this is not a suitable solution for this question. Option B, let each member of the team generate a new SSH key pair and send you their public key. Deploy those keys on each instance using a configuration management tool. Even this option is not correct because here every user will have to generate a SSH key and they will be responsible for securing their SSH key, which will be a risky one. Option C, let each member of the team generate a new SSH key pair and add the public key to their Google account. Grant the compute OS admin login role to the Google group corresponding to this team. This option is correct because the OS login grants SSH access to VMs using the GCP IAM policy and does not require the distribution of SSH keys to users. Option D, generate a new SSH key pair, distribute the private key to all members of your team, configure the public key as a project-wide public SSH key in your GCP project and enable project-wide public SSH keys on each instance. This option is not correct because distributing the private keys to users is not a secure way. Next question. Your security team manages all service accounts in a project called SecSA. You need to take snapshots of VMs running in another project called ProjVM. Your security team has asked you to use a specific service account from their project for this purpose. What should you do? Option A. Download the JSON private key from the service account and add it to the each VM's custom metadata. There is no need to download the private key of the service account in order to take snapshots of VMs in another project. So this option is not correct. Option B. Download the JSON private key from the service account and add the private key to each VM's SSH keys. Again, there is no need to download the private key of the service account to take the snapshot of VMs. So even this option is not correct. Option C. In the project called ProjVM, grant the service account the IAM role of compute storage admin. This option is correct because the compute storage admin role needs to be assigned to the service account in the target project, which is ProjVM, in order for it to take snapshots of VMs in that project. So option C is correct. Option D. Set the service account's API scope for compute engine to read write while creating the VMs. Here, setting the API scope in a VM will not allow it to take snapshots without proper IAM permissions. So this option is not correct. So option C is the correct one for this question. Next question. Your company is testing its application from different regions as per customer usage behavior. Your App Engine application runs in the US Central region. Now, your director has asked you to change the location to the Asia Northwest 1 region. How can you accommodate this change? Option A. Change the project's default region to Asia Northwest 1. Changing the project's default region does not affect the region of the existing App Engine application. The project's default region is used for new resources created within the project, but it does not migrate the existing resources to the new region. So this option is not correct. Option B. Change the App Engine application's default region Asia Northwest 1. There is no direct way to change the default region of an existing App Engine application. The default region is set when the application is created and cannot be modified afterwards. So even this option is not correct. Option C. Create a second App Engine application in the existing GCP project in the Asia Northwest 1 region. Creating a second App Engine application in the desired region is a possible approach, but it does not address the requirement of changing the location of the existing application. And the new application will be separate from the existing one, and it will require additional configuration and the deployment. Therefore, this option is not the best solution for this scenario. Option D. Create a new GCP project and create an App Engine application. Inside this new project, specify Asia Northwest 1 as the region to serve your application. This option is correct because changing the location of an existing App Engine application from one region to another is not directly supported. So, to change the region of an App Engine application, you need to create a new application in the desired region. So, in this case, since the director wants to change the location to the Asia Northwest 1 region, so creating a new GCP project and specifying Asia Northwest 1 as a region for the new App Engine application is the correct approach. So option D is correct for this question. Next question. Your company's image tagging app is hosted on GCP. A new team at your organization has requested view and edit access to one of the existing Cloud Spanner instances. What is the best practice to grant such access? Option A. Run gcloud IAM rules. Describe roles spanner database user. This option is not correct because even though it works, GCP recommends adding users requiring the same permission to a group and assign IAM permission to that group instead of adding the individual users. So this option is not correct. Option B. Run gcloud IAM rules, describe roles, spanner, database user add the users to a new group, add the group to the role. This option is correct because this is as per the GCP's recommended best practice. Add users who require the same permission to a group and assign IAM permission to that group instead of adding the individual users. So this option is correct. Option C, run gcloud IAM roles, describe roles, spanner viewer, hyphen project, my project, add the users to the role. This option is not correct because the roles spanner viewer role will not provide any edit access. Option D, run gcloud IAM roles, describe roles spanner viewer hyphen project, my project, add the users to a new group, add the group to the role. This option is also not correct because the role spanner viewer role will not provide any edit access. So option B is correct for this question. Next question. Kubernetes regularly releases patches and fixes to vulnerabilities in its latest versions. You want to keep your GKE cluster updated to take advantage of the latest fixes. What should you do? Option A, use the node auto repair feature in your GKE cluster. Node auto repair does not update the Kubernetes version, so this option is not correct. Option B, use the node auto upgrades feature for your GKE cluster. This option is correct because node auto upgrades help you keep the nodes in your cluster up to date with the cluster control plane when your control plane is updated on your behalf. Create a new cluster with the latest Kubernetes version every time a new release is out. Selecting the latest version while creating the cluster will not upgrade it in the future when a new version gets released. So this option is not correct. Option D, select container optimized OS as a node image for your GKE cluster. Container optimized image does not get updated on its own when a new version gets released. So this option is not correct. Next question, your PDF merging application is running on managed instance group. You want to have a single public IP over HTTPS that load balances your application. The load balancer must terminate the client SSL session once merging is completed. What is the Google recommended approach for such a requirement? Option A, configure an HTTPS load balancer. Since the application serves over HTTP and the HTTP load balancer supports SSL, so this option is correct. Configuring an HTTP load balancer serves this purpose, so option A is correct. Option B, configure an internal TCP load balancer. Since the application is public and it requires HTTP load balancer, this option is not correct. Option C, configure an external SSL proxy load balancer. SSL proxy load balancing is intended for non-HTTP traffic, but application needs HTTP traffic. So this option is not correct. Option D, configure an external TCP proxy load balancer. Again, this is not intended for HTTP traffic. So this option is not correct. So option A is the correct solution for this question. Next question. You work at a food delivery startup that has generated a large amount of data in the last month. You are backing up application data of one of your servers to a nearline cloud storage bucket. The total backup file is 35 GB. You have provisioned a dedicated 1 Gbps WAN connection for this purpose. You want to use the bandwidth of 1 Gbps as efficiently as possible to transfer the file rapidly. How should you upload the file? Option A, upload the file using the GCP console instead of GSUtil. Option A is not correct because the GCP console does not allow parallelism while uploading the files. So in such an upload, a file will be divided up to 35 chunks. Then these chunks are uploaded in parallel to temporary objects. So the final object is created using the temporary objects and the temporary objects are then deleted. So this option is not correct. Option B, enable parallel composite uploads using GSUtil on the file transfer. This option is correct because parallel composite uploads will upload different parts of your file in parallel chunks. Option C, use a smaller TCP window size on the machine doing the upload. Here, decreasing the TCP window size will not automatically increase the upload efficiency. So this option is not correct. Option D, change the storage class of the bucket from nearline to multi-regional. Here, changing the storage class will not affect the upload speed. So this option is not correct. Next question. You are working as a GCP engineer at a legal cricket betting application where customers use historical data points and statistics to place their bets. Billions of users place bets daily on an ongoing T20 World Cup match series. Your application is hosted on an auto scaling managed instance group. New instances are added to the group if CPU utilization exceeds 85%. The maximum number of VMs in the group can be 6 VMs. The health checks on the group is configured to become active after an initial delay of 30 seconds. Recently, you have noticed that when the managed instance group auto scales, it creates more instances than required to support end user traffic. One of your developers has made some changes to the application startup script, and that has caused the app to take 3 minutes to initialize and become ready to serve traffic. The initial delay of HTTP health checks is set to 30 seconds. You suspect that there is over provisioning of VMs and unnecessary use of resources. You want to make sure there is no over provisioning of resources. How can you do it? Option A, turn off auto scaling and allow only one instance. Since we require auto scaling with more than one instance, that is up to 6 instances, if you implement option A, it is not correct. Option B, reduce the maximum number of instances to 3. Even this option is not correct because decreasing the minimum number of instances to 3 will only create a maximum of 3 instances, but in the question they have asked us to have a maximum number of VMs as 6. So this option is not correct. Option C, remove the HTTP health check and create a new TCP health check. Changing the health check type will not solve the problem as our health check delay is less than the time it takes for the instance to become available. So option C is not correct. Option D, increase the initial delay of the HTTP health check to 200 seconds. Here, GCP is creating more instances than required because the initial health check fails as the newly created instance takes 180 seconds to get ready to serve traffic. But the health check delay is kept at 30 seconds. So, increasing the initial delay to a value of more than 180 seconds solves our problem. So, this option is correct. Next question. You are building an application to detect malicious financial transactions. Every night at 2 a.m., you fetch the records of all financial transactions done during the previous day from the database and run a batch job to analyze all the transactions. The batch jobs take around 2 hours to complete. You want to minimize service cost. What approach should you take? Option A, run the batch job on Google Kubernetes Engine. Use a single node cluster with a small instance type. Even though we can run batch jobs on Kubernetes Engine, it is not the most cost efficient way. So this option is not correct. Option B, run the batch job on Google Kubernetes Engine. Use a 3 node cluster with micro instance type. Again, this is not the cost efficient way. Since in the question they want us to minimize service cost, we cannot use this option A and B. Option C, run the batch job on preemptible compute engine VMs with standard machine type. Preemptible VMs are the most cost effective for this task as the batch jobs runs only for a small period of time at regular intervals. So using preemptible VMs can provide up to an 80% discount compared to normal instances of the same specification. So this option is correct. Option D, run the batch job on compute engine VM instance type that support microbursting. This option is not correct because microbursting is good for tasks that occasionally require high CPU power and usually run on low CPU. So this option is not correct. So option C is the correct solution for this question. You developed a website to sell used smartphones and deployed it on App Engine. You found that the user interface is breaking for some users in the latest release. Prior versions of the application did not have this issue. You want to immediately revert to an older version to mitigate the issue. What should you do? Option A, run gcloud app restore. Gcloud app restore is not a valid gcloud command, so this option is not correct. Option B, open the GCP console, go to the App Engine page and click on Revert. This option is not correct because there is no revert option on the App Engine page. Option C, open the GCP console and go to the App Engine versions page. Route 100% of the traffic to the previous version. Here, routing all the traffic back to a previous version is the fastest way to roll back a change on App Engine. So, this option is correct. Option D, deploy the original version as a separate application. Change DNS settings to point to the new application. There is no need to deploy a separate version as the previous version already exists. So, this option is not correct. So, option C is the correct solution for this question. Next question. You are a freelancer working on multiple GCP projects at the same time. You deployed an App Engine application using gcloud app deploy, but the deployment is not showing in the intended project. You suspect it got deployed in a different project. You want to find out why this happened and where the application is deployed. How can you debug this? Option E, check the app.yaml file for project settings. Here, the project related information is not part of the app.yaml file. So, you will not be able to find this information. So, option A is not correct. Option B, check the web application.xml file for project settings. Again, this web application.xml will not contain GCP project related information. So, this option is not correct. Option C, go to Deployment Manager and review settings for deployment of application. App Engine does not use the Deployment Manager. So, this option is not correct. Option D, review the Google Cloud configuration used for deployment by going to the Cloud Shell and run gcloud config list. gcloud will deploy the app in the project which is configured in the gcloud config. So, when we execute this gcloud config list, it will provide the information where the application got deployed. So, this is the correct solution for this question. Next question, you are developing a mission critical application for the stock market on Compute Engine. You have a set of 10 Compute Engine instances and you need to configure them for availability. These instances should attempt to automatically restart if they crash, and you cannot afford to lose the instances during system maintenance activity. What should you do? Option A, create an instance template for the instances. Set the automatic restart to on. Set the on host maintenance to migrate VM instance. Add the instance template to an instance group. This option is correct because automatic restart will restart the instance if it crashes, and setting an host maintenance to migrate the instance will not let the application go down during maintenance. So this option is correct. Option B, create an instance template for the instances, set automatic restart to off, set on host maintenance to terminate VM instances, add the instance template to an instance group. We have to enable the automatic restart, but step 2 in option B states to set the automatic restart to off, which is not correct. This option is not correct. Option C, create an instance group for the instances, set the auto healing lcheck to LT. Auto healing will restart the instance, but GCP will not be able to automatically migrate the instance during maintenance. So this option is not correct. Option D, create an instance group for the instance. Verify that the advanced creation options setting for do not retry machine creation is set off. Even this option is not correct because retrying the creation of VM on failure is not part of the requirements. So option A is the correct one for this question. Next question, you work at a graphics design studio that serves multiple clients. You have created a static website on cloud storage to showcase your freelance services. Your website also includes your work portfolio in PDF files that users can download by clicking on its link. Instead of promoting the user to download the PDFs, you want the click PDF files to be displayed within the browser window directly. How can you achieve this? Option A, use Cloud CDN to cache content. This option is not correct because CDN will not automatically open the PDF in the browser window. Option B, enable share publicly on the PDF file objects. Making cloud storage objects public will not make them automatically open the files in the browser window. So this option is not correct. Option C, set content type metadata to application. PDF on the PDF file objects. This option is correct because setting the content type to application/PDF will allow the browser to open the PDF file directly in the browser instead of prompting it to save. So option C is correct. Option D, add a label to the storage bucket with a key of content type and value of application/PDF. Here, adding labels will not change the file's content type. So, this option is not correct. So, option C is correct for this question. Next question. Traffic on your blogging website has suddenly increased after a relatively popular technology magazine wrote about you. Your website is hosted on a compute engine instance configured with 2 vCPUs and 4 GB of memory. The increase in traffic is causing the virtual machine to run out of memory. You want to upgrade the virtual machine to have 8 GB of memory. What is the recommended way to do it? Option A, perform a live migration to move the workload to a machine with more memory. This is not correct because live migration does not change the VM's configuration. Option B, update the VM's metadata, set the required memory size and the value to 8 GB. Adding metadata to the VM does not upgrade its memory. So, option B is not correct. Option C, stop the VM, change the machine type to N1 standard 8, start the VM. N1 standard 8 instance type as 8 vCPUs and 30 GB RAM, and here we need only 8 GB. So this option is not correct. Option D, stop the VM, increase the memory to 8 GB, start the VM. So this option is correct because we just need 8 GB. First we need to stop the VM, then increase the memory to 8 GB and then start the VM. So this is a process which we need to follow for this scenario. Next question. You are tasked with building the VPC config for a new logistics app. The app will have a production and a test environment and compute engine. Both environments need to have their own separate individual subnets. Network connectivity is required between all VMs over internal IPs without the need to create additional routes. Which configuration should you select? Option A, create a single custom VPC with two subnets such that each subnet resides in a different region and has a different CIDR range. Since here the requirements specify that both the production and the test VMs must be in the same VPC but in different subnets, so this option is correct. You need to create a single custom VPC with the two subnets. Option B, create a single custom VPC with the two subnets such that each subnet resides in the same region and has the same CIDR range. Here you cannot create two subnets with the same CIDR range, so this option is not correct. Option C, create two custom VPCs each with a single subnet such that each subnet resides in a different region and has a different CIDR range. The requirement here specifies that both the environments must be in the same VPC. But in option C, is to create a subnet in different region with different CIDR range. So this contradicts with our requirement. So this option is not correct. Option D, create two custom VPCs each with a single subnet such that each subnet resides in the same region and has the same CIDR range. So here two custom VPCs are not required since we need both the environments in the same VPC. So this option is not correct. So option A is the correct solution for this question. Next question. You work at a game development company for local testing of paid premium game version. Your DevOps team has provided a JSON file to you that contains the private key of a service account that has access to the required GCP services. You have the gcloud SDK installed on your laptop. How can you use the provided private key for performing authentication and authorization while using gcloud commands? Option A, run the gcloud auth login command and point it to the private key. Here, the gcloud auth login is for authenticating a user and not a service account. So, this option is not correct. Option B, run the gcloud auth activate service account command and point it to the private key. This option is correct because the gcloud auth activate service account command is used to activate the service account in Cloud SDK. So option B is correct. Option C, rename the private key file to credentials.json and place it in the installation directory of the Cloud SDK. This option is not correct because placing the file in the installation directory will not activate the service account. Option D, rename the private key file to Google application credentials and place it in your home directory. Here, Google application credential is for applications other than Cloud SDK. So for Cloud SDK, you need to use the gcloud auth activate service account command. So option B is correct for this question. That's it for today's video. Thank you all for watching. If you are new to my channel, please like and subscribe to my channel and stay up to date with the latest content on this channel. See you in the next video.